Hello, this is Dr. Paul Cottrell. I'd like to talk about Taiwan and China and the conflict. This period of time is going to be 1980s through the present time, focus more on the northern part of this region. That would be South Korea and Japan. But before I do that, please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and help support my work. You can support my work by going to the homepage, and at the bottom of the homepage is three donate buttons. You can donate through Stripe, PayPal, or buy me a coffee. So that helps to support my work. I have thousands of videos that are free to the public, and it's through your donations that allows me to do that. I have also a lot of different products on the store. I have ebooks. I have 8 ebooks talking about finance and genomics, artificial intelligence, endocrinology. Okay. And I also have nano silver products, structural nano silver toothpaste. This is the best toothpaste that you'll be able to get. Structural nano silver liquids and gels, soaps and lozenges and drops. I also have a veggie cap probiotic and a multivitamin in this category, and a 3-bottle applicator set. So please go to the store and take a look at the nano silver products I have. I have C60, which is a very strong antioxidant. You can get it either in extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, or MCT coconut oil. You can get it in a 2-ounce, a 4-ounce, or an 8-ounce configuration. That way, if you buy it in the higher configurations, it's a little cheaper. You should take a teaspoon of this a day, and it'll soak up those free radicals. If you do this every day, you're going to start noticing that you have more energy because your mitochondria health is better. Your mitochondria creates the ATP, and your cells will be less stressed because you're soaking up those free radicals, so your tissues are going to be more efficient. Over time, you'll start to notice that you are just aging slower. So please, it's a major component of the anti-aging protocol. Vitamin D3, vitamin C, omega-3, these are all really good and important supplements that I have. So, please, get these plethora of supplements. Ashwagandha root is really important to bring down the blood glucose levels. Good night formula helps to get those REM cycles sleep. This probiotic is a powder probiotic. Resveratrol, really important as an antioxidant to help to get rid of senescent cells. Vitamin B complex, very important for cellular metabolism. Turmeric brings down inflammation and it's a strong antioxidant. Magnesium and zinc helps to boost up the immune system. Lignans is very important that you should be taking every day. It helps to boost up the immune system and promotes hormonal health. Collagen, that helps the skin, the bones, the joints. Digestive enzymes, helps to break down carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids. It also is fibrinolytic, so that breaks down clots. Clarity factor, very important for neural health. And I have 2 new products on the store, which are olive leaf extract, which helps to boost up the immune system and your cardiovascular system, and zeolite, which helps to detoxify your body from heavy metals, toxins, and chemicals. If you're taking a medication, you should talk to your doctor before you take zeolite because you don't want the zeolite to neutralize your medication. So with that said, I also have Even Better Bar, which is an all-purpose skincare. I have 2 different types of deodorants, either in citrus or peppermint, lavender, and tea tree. These bars are made from essential oils from the Himalayas. They're very high quality bars, so please go to the store and get these bars. And I've curated these anti-aging boxes at different price points and different combinations for you to take a look at. So please go to the store and take a look at the different anti-aging boxes. They're important because one, the prices are lower if you buy the box versus the individual, and you know what to get. Sometimes people don't understand, okay, what do they need to get to improve their skin? Well, in the advanced box for the skincare, it's the structural nanosilver gel, the vitamin C and magnesium, the resveratrol, the collagen, and the C60. When you do this on a regular basis, you're going to start noticing your skin health is better. And lastly, I have two modules. I have a pulmonology module and an immunology module. Each module is $50. And in the module, you get PDF files and videos. And you learn a lot of different topics. Like in here, I think it's 22 lectures. Each lecture has a downloadable PDF file, and you get access to a video. You have unlimited access. When you purchase the module, you get a unique password, and you log in based on the module you buy over here in classes. You just log into the module. Now, I also have immunology, and in the immunology module, you learn a lot about, I think there's 15 lectures here. You learn a lot about how the immune system works and some diseases of the immune system. So it's only for $50. You get PDF files and videos. So please go to the store and take a look at the different classes. This way you learned how the body works, and you also learn how to improve your health. So with that said, let me go to the lecture here. Okay, so we ended on the previous video. We ended on the strategic ambiguity that happened under the Carter administration. And that basically is that we recognize the PRC, which is China, but we also recognize the we support, let's put it this way, we support the ROC or Taiwan. So we have this kind of ambiguity of, would we support Taiwan if it was attacked or not? Now, it's not what we say, it's what we do. And this lecture is going to show that it seems to me that we would be supporting Taiwan if it was attacked. All right, so what I want to do is, all right, so we end at 1979. This is during the Carter administration in the last lecture. So over time, throughout the 80s, there was the Cold War that's happening between the United States and Russia. And Bush Sr. In the 70s was an ambassador to China, and also in the 70s ended up being a CIA director. Now, Reagan comes in the 80s, and Bush ends up being the VP for the Reagan administration. Okay. So there was a lot of focus on de-escalation of nuclear weapons and this outspending of the U.S. outspending the Russians in terms of military development and military buildup. Now, if we fast forward to 1995, what happens is that China ends up firing missiles in 1995 and 1996 in the east and the north of Taiwan, in the Taiwan Strait. Okay, so this is the Taiwan Strait, and they're in the north. So they were firing in different zones, and so they were covering this area with their missiles, this area with their missiles, and a little bit of this area here. All right, this is important. Now, you have to remember, in the 70s, we started we started pulling out our bases from Taiwan, our nuclear facilities. But after we pulled out, we started selling weapons to Taiwan. So Taiwan officially was on its own, but it was buying weapons from the United States. We did not have a base on Taiwan at this time, or in the 70s. Okay. So now fast forward to 1995, and you have these missiles being shot in to maintain a certain zone by the Chinese or the PRC. So what happens is the US sent two carrier groups into the strait to stop China from firing the missiles. Now, these two carrier groups, I'm not sure which the two were. I would have to research that a little bit, but there were two carrier groups that came in and during this time period, 95, 96. The PRC, or China, stops firing the missiles. And so the PRC backs down. And what is important at this time is that there was a belligerence or a hubris that started to build up by the PRC, by China, because they were building up their military prowess. They were spending about $14.3 billion for their military. All right. In comparison, the United States in 1996 was spending $288 billion. Now, to show comparison between 1996 to 2023, the PRC now spends $293 billion, while the United States' overall defense budget is around $877 billion. So you can see that it took from 1996 to 2023 to be spending by the PRC the same amount that the United States was spending in 1996. So, but we also have to keep in mind that the forward deployment of the United States is far greater than what China has. So just keep that in mind. And it's not about total spending; it's also about what you buy and how efficient and capable those systems are. In 2003, now remember in the previous video, I was starting to talk about the northern front of China to Russia. Okay. Yeah. Okay, this is Russia. This is China. Okay, and this northern front was in dispute. Now, there was what is called the Sino-Russian border was settled in 2003. All right. And in 2003, you got to remember what's going on in 2003, Middle East, right after 9/11. Right. So the United States was focused in the Middle East. And this is where I think the United States lost its mojo, not embracing Russia for a two-front war on China. All right. So in 2003, there's a settlement that's going on, a peaceful settlement between China and Russia. So now China no longer needs to focus on the northern front. It can now focus on the China issue, or the Taiwan issue, and start, building up a strategy and spending their military on this whole concept of protecting the 9-dash line. Okay. Now, so this is the reason why in many videos, I keep on saying the United States by not embracing Russia, the whole Sino-Russian border dispute in the north, if that wasn't settled, then China would still be concerned about this two-front war. But that was a major strategic error by the United States. So there was this agreement, all right, to settle the border. the border dispute. But there's still some tension going on. All right. There's still some tension going on, especially in this region here. All right. So now, because of this Sino-Russian border settlement, they're focusing on Taiwan and the 9-dash line. And the Senkaku Islands. All right. Now, the Senkaku Islands are really small. I think they're right here. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, so you can see why that's important. All right, those little islands over here, right, are important because you have Okinawa and you have these other islands that are tied to Japan. By controlling this region, you're starting to do a projection out onto Japan. All right, so the Chinese wanted to focus on these islands, the Senkaku Islands, and obviously Taiwan. Okay. So at this moment in time, there's about around 2023 or 2024, they have about the PRC has about 350 ships. That number might not actually be a little bit higher. 300 ships that are in service. That includes submarines. So that's surface ships and underwater ships. So now that's kind of the focus. Now let's go to the United States. Okay, the United States. This is Alaska. You got Canada, and you got the west coast of the United States. You have Hawaii, right? Now there is a concept called the tyranny of distance, and that is that the reason why these island chains are so important to the United States, they act as bases and land, and they're kind of like aircraft carriers for the United States to be able to project out to make sure that this region here is free for navigation and free for air flight. Why is that important? Because this strait here out is very, very important for goods and services coming from the Middle East and from India, right? And then also the strategic military reasons. So if China was able to control the 9-dash line right here, then it would choke off the goods and services that the United States needs, and is ship in the back and forth of military deployment. So this region right here is super important to the United States. And this is part of the reason why in 96, 95, 96, the two aircraft groups came in to stop China from firing missiles into the 6 zones that I talked about earlier. So there was this concept of the tyranny of distance. And this tyranny of distance, if you want to use numbers, to get from the west coast of the mainland of the United States to Taiwan is about 6,000 miles. Meanwhile, China is only about 100 miles away. So, this is the reason why we have to have such forward deployment. Now, let's start talking a little bit more about the northern area of this island chain. Now, the island chains, so you have the 9-dash line here, which is trying to be controlled by China. And this is international water. international air freedom to navigate in the air or at the sea, but they're trying to shut that off. Now, the only way to prevent China from being so belligerent is to force their hand and have military movements coming, through all this, through the straits and, through the 9-dash line. So the we're going to start with these island chains. It starts with South Korea, then it goes to Japan, and then you have these Japanese smaller islands, then Taiwan, then the Philippines, right? Then you have Indonesia, and then obviously you have Malaysia as the pinch point. So you have Malaysia and Indonesia as a pinch point, which is really important before you get into the sea. What is that? The Bay of Bengal. So, it's you gotta, this area is super important. I think that's part of the reason why we went into Vietnam. But I'm not an expert at Vietnam, so I would need to get a little bit more educated on that. But I have a feeling that this is another reason why we wanted to control this region. All right. So we're going to focus on the upper part of the island chains in this lecture. Now, in Korea, in South Korea, so you have the Korean Strait and the Sea of Japan, and it's important the United States controls this to prevent the Chinese from coming in to the Sea of Japan. Okay. Now, so the first island chain starts with South Korea. The United States has approximately 22,000 troops in South Korea. We have 2 air bases, and one air base is in Osan Air Base. Okay. All right, so you can kind of see how it's blurred out. That's interesting. Okay, so this is the Osan Air Base. It's blurred out on Microsoft Bing. Maybe Google would be a little bit more accurate, but it's a little blurred out. All right, but the point here is that that's the air base. Now, to get a little bit of an idea of what are we talking about here? So this is South Korea, right? So that's Osan Air Base, and then there's also another air base in Kunsan Air Base, and of course it's blurred out. All right, so you have that, okay. You get an idea, you get sort of an idea of what we're talking about in terms of location in South Korea. Okay, so we're talking about they're trying to control they're trying to control this region here, and they have near access to the Korean Strait. Okay, there's 2 air bases there. Now you have mainland Japan. Now in Japan proper, we have 50,000 troops. 24,000 are on the mainland, and 26,000 are in Okinawa. Okay, Okinawa is right here. This is the reason why Okinawa is so important. Now, the U.S. was governing Okinawa from 1945 to 1972 before it was handed back for governance back to Japan. Now, the bases there's a Kandina base. All right, there's a Kandina air base here. And okay, so I'd zoom out of there. This is just like one big aircraft carrier. That's how the United States views it. Okay. And this houses the 18th wing of the Air Force. It's the most active Air Force base that the United States has. And what has been happening in contemporary time is they're replacing the F-15s that are here with the F-35s. Now, what's important about Okinawa is because of this whole tyranny of distance that I was talking about, from here to the strait is about 500 miles versus the 6,000 miles from the west coast of the United States. So this region is super important to the United States. And what happens is by this base, the bases that I talked about in South Korea, also the bases on the mainland, they are protecting the Korean Strait and the Sea of Japan from China. Okay. And also, obviously, the Taiwan Strait here. All right. So now, so major area to control navigationally from sea. This strait is super important, but also by air, because if the Chinese have air superiority, they'll have naval superiority too, because the air superiority is going to help to protect the Navy fleet. So the US, South Korea, and Japan need to control this to make sure that China doesn't have freedom to move during a war situation. Now, remember, the international rules are 12 miles out from the coast. Anything beyond the 12 miles from the coastline is actually that's actually international waters and international air flight. So, so there is a 12-mile coastline where that's part of China, and there's a 12-mile coastline that's part of Taiwan. Now, remember, this is about 100 miles away. All right, so you have 12 miles, right? So there's about 75 miles or so of free navigation, air and sea here, and that's at the closest point. It's a little bit more depending on where you are measuring from the coastlines. So, okay, so let's that now in Tokyo Bay. Okay, by Tokyo Bay. Okay, there's Tokyo, but by Tokyo Bay is where the carrier strike group number 5 is permanently housed. And then obviously they move around, right? Now that's the Reagan carrier group. Now, and then obviously the carrier group is going to be floating around and doing operations, right? Okay, so you have a carrier group 5, carrier strike group number 5. You have the Osan and the Kunsan bases. You have Okinawa bases. And then we're going to start talking about these little islands over here that have been further developed to be able to be choke points and to help support Taiwan or the ROC in case the United States and allied forces needs to come in from the east side of Taiwan. Now, what's important to mention, and I don't think I've mentioned this before, is there's a mountain range in the middle of Taiwan, right? So you can see that that China is most likely going to be coming from the west because the east is protected by Allied forces. But this mountain range bifurcates the Taiwan. So it's not going to be easy for China to take the whole island. And this may, the region, the topology of the region may actually be in the favor of the Allied forces. Okay, with that said, let's talk about some of these islands here. Okay, now there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 main ones that we're going to talk about. There's a lot of little ones, but the main ones. All right, Takitomi. This island here started getting bases from Japan. Japan started investing bases in 2023 in Takitomi and in Ishigaki. Where's Ishigaki? All right, I'll try to find it. Okay, so we got Ishigaki. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay, so all right, there we go. Okay, so we got Ishigaki and in Takitomi Islands, there one base on each, is my understanding. All right, now in Yonaguni, right here, they put a base in 2016. So 2016 here, and then the other two that I just mentioned, they put bases in 2023. So if you zoom out, you can see that they're starting to create a defense bubble. So they got a huge defense bubble around Okinawa. They have a defense bubble around Yonaguni. And now they in 2023, they started building a defense bubble on the islands of Takitomi and Ishigaki. All right, then in 2019, they also put 2 bases in Miyakajima, I guess the name of it. Yeah, right here. They put 2 bases in 2019 in Miyakojima. Okay. Now, let's see here. Now here. Okay, so Okinawa, obviously military bases since World War II. 2016, Yonaguni, 2 bases for defense bubble. In 2019, that's 2016. In 2019, defense bubble on these islands here, on this island here. Miyakajima. All right. Then in 2023, then you had defense bubble here. So they wanted to make a defense bubble and protect the eastern side of Taiwan, and also prevent China from coming in this way, because this is a small island. They also wanted to have an overlap defense bubble with the island of Miyagajima, right, and Okinawa, to prevent China from coming in this way. And then in 2023, additional bases on these islands here. So you can see 2016, 2019, and 2023, right? So there's there's been a build up going all the way back. Now this is Japan. This is Japan doing this, not the United States. Japan is doing this. All right. Now Japan in 2024 has a military budget now of 53 billion. So it's increasing its military spending. And these bases that are using these protective bubbles are complementary to what the United States is doing. Now, remember, what does the United States have? It has air bases, it has carrier strike groups. These bases are anti-ship and anti-aircraft missile bases. Okay. So these act like protective bubbles, protective zones, but kind of almost like a stationary destroyer. Now, and that's the strategy of the United States is with these island chains. Now, they also militarized recently another island with two bases. I'm not sure what year it was. It might have been in 2023, but there's an island called the Anani Oshina Island. I think that's like, I'm not sure where that is. Nani Oshi Oshi Oshina. Is that no? I mean Anani. Oh, Ocean. Nah. I'm not sure where that is. I thought it was in between the other island chain in Okinawa. But these little islands are really important because you got to remember these military, depending on the defense bubble, these missiles, could be maybe 300 miles out, 300-mile range. So you have a 300-mile radius or more, depending on what kind of system. I'm not sure where it's at. I thought there was an island, I thought there was a small little island out here. Maybe it's this one. No. Hmm. I'm not sure where it's at. But there's two other bases in Anani Oshina. I'm just surprised that it doesn't pop up. Nani Oshina. No, I don't know. I'm not really sure where it's at, but I thought there was another small little island out here somewhere. Maybe it's here. No, no, I'm not sure where it's at. Unfortunately, it doesn't pop up on the map. But the point here is that there's Japanese buildup on these islands that are important that go all the way back to 2016, another buildup in 2019 and another buildup in 2023. So that's an important feature to understand. So in this video, now we have a better understanding. Okay, where are the U.S. bases? in terms of air bases and also carrier strike groups. The importance of Okinawa and these other islands that are on the east side of Taiwan, and the ability to create these defense bubbles in the Yellow Sea. So the Yellow Sea and through the Strait of Taiwan, and secure this first island chain. In another video, we'll start talking a little bit more of south of Taiwan and why the Philippines are so important. As you can kind of see, the vulnerable area for Taiwan is the west coast of Taiwan. It looks like the United States and the Allied forces is protecting the east coast of Taiwan. So with that said, hopefully you learned a little bit more about the Chinese and the Taiwanese conflict. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and help support my work by going to the the different supplements that I have been mentioning to boost up your immune system and slow down the aging process. It'll help with clotting, it'll help with energy, it'll bring down reactive oxygen species, it will boost up your immune system. If you just follow what I've been doing, and you do it every day, then you're going to start noticing that your health is improving. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Also help support my work by making sure that you subscribe to all my channels. I have 4 channels on YouTube, Brighteon, Bitchute, and Rumble. Please subscribe to all of them. Sometimes I get strikes on YouTube. In addition, follow me on X and GETTR so you get notifications of videos, because I've noticed that sometimes a video notification may not go out until 24 hours after it is premiered from YouTube, unfortunately. So please make sure that you subscribe to my work, and please help build my channel by asking your social media to follow me and subscribe to my work. Thank you for listening. It's important that I reach out and give kind of a unique perspective, something that's a little bit deeper dive than what you would be seeing in the mainstream news, because this is going to be a region that is going to become a problematic area in the near future. And it's very possible that in 2025, maybe even this year, but most likely in 2025, that there is going to be serious conflict in Taiwan, or at least in this region. And you can see that the United States is already somewhat stretched. We had the carrier group 3, the carrier strike group 3, which is the Abraham Lincoln, going through this region here, and trying to get through here to be able to get to the Middle East. Now, if the 9-dash line was protected by the Chinese and it prevented ease of navigation, that our carrier strike group would not get to the Middle East so quickly, right? So this is the reason why, having these sea lanes open are so important. If the 9-dash line was enforced by China, right, and not just rhetoric, then the United States would have to move its carrier group more through here, navigate through, and it would be slow, or through here, right? So it's not as quick. And I believe that, it's actually, it's safer, I believe, going through this route because of the ocean currents and the size of the waves versus going more south of the Indian Ocean, going in this direction. But it's just, this is the reason why it's so important. We wouldn't be able to get to the Middle East quickly if the 9-dash line was enforced. So this is another reason that how geopolitics that are happening with the United States and China affects the Middle East and vice versa. Iran ships oil to China. So if we control this, if we can control the seaway, we can control the oil flow to China. So that's another aspect to this that people need to realize, that what's going on in the Middle East does affect Asia in many different ways. So please, again, go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.